Now with me today is best-selling parenting author Michael Grose. And Michael, today we're talking about making meal times memorable. Why is breakfast, lunch and dinner so important?
Meals are more than just pit stops. Meals are times when kids are anchored to the kitchen table or a kitchen chair, and are really important for families and as a family ritual. So I have a belief that strong food cultures produce strong families, and those countries that have really strong food cultures also have that strong sense of family. And that's because the mealtime is a real event. It's not just sitting down and just throwing some food down. It's a whole lot of rituals around it. So I think, and I've always worked in my family, that we have a very strong mealtime. And even as my kids are now moved into adulthood, when they come around, one of the things we do is they gravitate to the kitchen table and like to sit down, and a lot of our family life now revolves around meals. And
I liked in your book, you spoke about making it a ritual, but making it that it doesn't matter what's going on, everyone must sort of come to the table at that time. Even if you're studying or you've got exams, you take that 10-minute time to come and sit down, and it creates conversation at the amongst family.
And it does. What happens sometimes is it's very easy, and I call it, kids sometimes drop out of the family.
Yeah.
It's very easy for kids to say, look, I've just got a little bit more homework, or I just got this TV show to watch. And there's some things which have got to be what I call non-negotiable. Families work, there's negotiables and there's non-negotiables.
Yeah.
There's certain things you don't have to come along to, certain things you need to. And meal times are those times, even as a parent, that you need to, unless something happens, that you all need to make that effort to come along. Mobile phones off, television off. And that's where you've got to be a little bit sneaky and a little bit smart, and to make sure you have meal times at a time that does suit everybody.
Yeah.
And just make sure everyone does come along. And I think part of the notion is not to fight over food, to make it an enjoyable experience. And maybe if one's finished their meal, but it's a reasonable thing that they actually do sit down and join in with the rest of the family for a reasonable amount of time.
And many of us, I know with my kids, I get all upset and stressed about my kids not eating all their food. Is it important to sit there and make them eat everything, or not worry about it?
You're the good mum, and the good mums and good dads get really worried about the whole notion of food, and I don't want to make light of that, but we do know that kids won't starve themselves.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we create problems where there shouldn't be problems. And I have that notion of, if you're more worried about what a child's eating than that child is, then therefore you've got something to fight over. So don't be worried too much. As I say, kids won't starve themselves. If they're not going to eat, and I think it's a realistic expectation that they don't go and raid the Bicky jar 5 minutes later, that if they're not going to eat at the meal table, and some kids just aren't hungry, that if they are going to eat, it's got to be something fruit, something healthy, or maybe the meal's taken away, put in the fridge, and they can warm it up later on when it suits them. So that notion of fighting over food, unless there are real medical issues, I think we've got to be really careful about.
Yeah. So what about taking kids to restaurants, Michael? Have you got any sound advice for that for the younger kids at home?
Yeah, look, one of the things that we need to do as mums and dads is to teach our kids to be social in all sorts of situations. And one of the ways you can teach your kids to be social is to set up those situations at home. So, mealtime again is one of those fantastic opportunities to teach your kids how to be social out in public. So, and I often advise parents to play the restaurant game. So once a week, you put on your best restaurant manners. You as a mum and dad serve the kids, and even take it away. So you're the waiters, and they sit down, knives and forks, and they do everything really well. And you join them, of course. But you have that little restaurant meal where everyone's got their best manners, and you would take that away as well. And it only has to be done once a week, but it's a fun way of breaking up the sort of normal drab mealtime that can be sometimes. But also it's a good teaching experience as well.
Thanks, Michael. That was some fantastic advice about mealtime, and you can check out Michael's new book, Thriving.